We have 2 minutes. One minute. Mr. Ballinger's here. So 9:30.
Okay, thank you very much. We will call to order the board meeting for the Western Municipal Water District. Tammy, would you please do a roll call?
Thank you. Good morning. Director Torres.
Present.
Director Dinstead.
I am here. Good morning.
Good morning. Director Roten. Director Rizvi.
Good morning. I'm here.
Good morning. President Gardner.
I am here as well.
Thank you. Good morning. President Gardner, you have a quorum.
Great, thank you very much. This morning, the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Luis Cardenas, Senior Engineer in the Engineering Department. Luis, thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You bet.
My name is Luis Cardenas. I've been with Western for just over a year. I started in July of last year. And I work in the CIP division of the engineering department.
Great. And you're responsible for some wells somewhere.
Yes, in Murrieta. All right, ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Luis.
Thank you.
Okay, this brings us to public comments. Tammy, did we receive any written comments by the deadline yesterday?
We did not.
Okay, and I see no members of the public in the room, so we'll close public comments and move on to the consent calendar. Does any board member wish to?
Oops, sorry. Well, Director Roten is not here, but she pointed out something on the minutes. The software system inadvertently plugged in that our last meeting was here, not in Murrieta. So I would ask that you just approve the minutes with, and allow me to make the changes that were inadvertently put into the minutes.
Okay,
Move to approve.
I'll second.
okay, and the motion did include the
Yep.
update?
Yeah.
Thought so.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Tammy,
Sorry
when
about that.
you're ready, if we could do a roll call vote.
Thank you. Director Torres.
Yes.
Director Dinstead.
Aye.
Director Rizvi. Yes. President Gardner.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries 4-0.
Thank you very much. Do we have anything to add to the agenda, Mr. Miller?
There's nothing to add today.
Okay, our action agenda is pretty short. Our first one is to adopt two resolutions, 3295 and 3296, supporting Federal Emergency Management Agency and Governor's Office of Emergency Services grant applications. And
Melissa is here to describe what these grants are and what we're going after again. So Melissa, go ahead.
great, thank you.
So these are two different applications. And this one
We're requesting just a little over $1.5 million as the total project cost, with the grant amount being about 1.1 million. And then the rest of it would come from our match requirement, which is 25%. Project 2 is 3296 resolution. That one's for the 1269 sewer lift station. That one is, we're requesting up to $15 million. And at the same time as doing the FEMA application, we are doing what Cal OES has called Prepare California Match, which would cover the match requirement. So it would be $0 from Western out of pocket and would all come from grant funds. The applications are both due August 4th, so just in time. And this program takes a while to find out. Last time we applied for FEMA, we did get awarded, but it took 2 years.
Yeah.
So this could take a while to hear back.
Great.
I'm available for any questions.
Does anyone have any questions?
Move to approve. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any public comment? Anybody out there on this one?
I see no request to speak.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, Tammy, would you please do a roll call vote?
Thank you. Director Torres?
Yes.
Director Dennstead?
Aye.
Director Rizvi?
Yes.
President Gardner?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries 4-0.
Thank you very much. And then we need to continue under item B, our condition of emergency for repairs of the Mockingbird Canyon pipeline.
Yeah,
Derek
Derek-
has an update.
Derek White has a brief report today, and then I think we're going to be trying to put this on consent, but we did have something to report out today. So Derek, go ahead.
Sure. Good morning, directors. This is an update of progress on the Mockingbird Pipeline Emergency Declaration and our response. As you recall, staff requested an emergency declaration because this year's storms exacerbated exposure of a recycled water pipeline to the point that is unsupported for a distance that could allow it to rupture. Staff have secured the services of Helix Environmental in order to prepare a package for a permit from the Army Corps of Engineers. The option that staff has selected to secure the pipeline is to move the flow of the creek to the north permanently and replace the pipeline at approximately the same location, backfill over the pipeline, to protect the backfill with gabions, and to restore any affected vegetation within the area, including establishment of additional native vegetation. Now, we don't take it lightly. Moving a creek, it just turns out in this particular instance, the creek was running from south to north, and essentially it diverted along the pipeline. So for a good length of the pipeline, which is where it's undermined, the creek runs along the pipeline. So that's why it excavated the backfill. At least that's our belief how it happened. And because of this, we've come to the conclusion the best thing to do is to move the creek slightly to the north, have it run parallel to the pipeline. That does have more of an impact when you get the permits from the Army Corps, so we're making sure that we have a really good permit when we submit it so we can do a one-pass, submit it, get authorization, and then do the work. In order to determine the extent of impacts of moving the creek, we need to perform a survey of the land in the area to the north. To do that, we've secured the services of a land surveying firm, Calvada Surveying, and they're going to basically create a topography map of that area just to the north, and then we'll use that to determine the proposed new alignment of the creek. And then we'll use that in our package that we submit to the Army Corps. Once we submit it to the Army Corps, our expectation is that it's not very long for them, if it's a complete package, for them to verify that it's in concurrence with existing permits of this nature for addressing emergencies or actions that are to prevent emergencies. And within a few days, we'd have authorization. We already have TK Construction standing by, ready to perform that work on a time and materials basis. And we anticipate, once we get the design, we think it's going to be something like 2 to 3 weeks to do the work. So that's where we are right now, and we'll give an update at the next board meeting.
Question. So add your timelines up. What are we talking? when do you expect to conclude, given probabilities?
Given what we know now, I would just give it roughly a month and a half from now is when our hope is to be concluded. Of course, I have to look at what the topography says and how much we have to move, and hopefully there's no complications with that. But I'm thinking about a month and a half with all based on everything I just described.
Okay, and are there any concerns that if we get a little past that timeline, and who knows, we might get rain this year again, if that's going to cause any issues? And did you clear this with Mother Nature? Because, she
Yes.
decided where she wanted to put that stream and flow, and how are you navigating? I mean, I get engineers got to do a great job in trying to redo things, but sometimes nature outweighs you.
That's true, and we are concerned about that we don't have additional erosion that occurs because of a really big storm event. However, we are trying to weigh that against the option that we're selecting involves moving a creek over, and we're really concerned about making sure we get that right and we don't get sideways of the regulations and cause ourselves additional expense for restoration, making the area much wider than it needs to be.
Okay.
And so that's why, because we know that it's not raining right now, that we're taking the
Right.
time to find the best solution that we think will work in the long term.
And we're considering impacts upstream and downstream?
Yes, we consider that. There's not really going to
Okay.
be that many impacts upstream and downstream. Wherever the creek returns, it's going to continue on the way it has been, same thing upstream. It's just in this area right where the pipe is, it'll be moved. We have to look at the impacts of the vegetation where the creek is no longer will die off, and so we have to replace that.
Right, okay. All right, thank you.
To approve?
In a second.
Move to approve?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? If not, Tammy, would you please do a roll call vote?
Thank you. Director Torres?
Yes.
Director Dinstead?
Aye?
Director Roten?
Yes.
Director Rizvi?
Yes.
President Gardner?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Great, thanks very much. Thank you, Derek. Brings us to reports. Mr. General Counsel.
I do not have anything.
Okay, that was quick. Mr. General Manager.
I do have a couple of things. SB 366, California Water for All. I've reported out to you that the author changed it to a 2-year bill. So as you'll recall, it cleared the Senate unanimously. We will pick up where we left off in the Assembly Parks and Wildlife Committee. It seems like we got a lot of time on our hands before, but we don't. Sarah and I are actually going up to Sacramento tomorrow to work with CMUA, the bill sponsor, and our lobbying team, and a select group of general managers that have been very intimately involved with the strategic planning of the bill. So we're going to spend half a day tomorrow figuring out what our next steps are and how to get there. And we'll go back and talk about the fundraising effort and KP's outreach campaign again. We do have money left over. We had planned for more outreach as it moved through the assembly, which didn't happen, so we do have money available to continue working on this, but we'll be debating that tomorrow as to how much work we're going to do now and how much work we're going to do as the assembly kicks up again next year to consider this. So lots of work, and we're not going to take this lightly and sit back and try and do it at the last minute. Item 2, credit rating. Standard & Poor's has asked for a routine review of our financial and operational conditions, so this is a normal thing. So we're going to be meeting with S&P later this month. We're seeking a positive outlook with S&P. We have a AA+ credit rating. We did go back, as the board had requested, and try and move that to a AAA rating. One of the things that they said was that we would like to see more local water supply development because we don't like the fact that Met could run out of water. And then what would you do? And we obviously explained what we would do. And to remind the board, we're actually in a very good position now with the addition of the Sterling Pump Station and our groundwater in both Chino Basin and San Bernardino Basin and Riverside. Even if Met totally stopped delivering water, we would still have enough water for all indoor uses. So we'd have to go and ban outdoor water use in that kind of an emergency. So we think we're actually very well positioned. We'll explain that to them again and talk about some of our future local water supply initiatives. But it's a routine review, financial review, but we're going to do some lobbying to try and convince them that AAA is really good. And part of that will also be the $20 million that this board authorized to bank water in the ground so that that shores up some of our dry year or emergency needs from Metropolitan. So we'll be telling that whole story. Last thing is, I reported last time on our Murrieta Water Quality Improvement Program and all of the flushing that we're doing out there. So that's going to continue. August 13th and 14th, we're going to be flushing at night near Jefferson Avenue and the 15. That's a business district, so that's why we're doing it at night. So the crews will be out there, and we appreciate all the hard work from the ops team who's out here watching to see if anyone complains about doing that. But hats off to the crews that shift around so that they can do this at night so that we're not impacting the businesses. And these are significant. We got Walmart and IHOP and Denny's and Home Depot that are all in that area and operate 24/7. So we're trying to stay out of their way and stay out of the customers' ways that are getting in there. So Sarah and her team has been doing the outreach. We've got all sorts of outreach to them and phone calls and all sorts of things. So,
And I'm really happy to report I never got a knock on my door from anybody that was complaining about anything that was going on. So that is a first. Thank you.
we got lucky. Crews work hard at it, so that's it.
I have a quick question. With S&P being concerned about Met's ability to deliver us water and it potentially affecting our credit rating, I think that's something that we should bring up to Met and maybe help refocus them on supplying water.
I made a note.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's serious. If S&P wants to consider that for Western, certainly they're going to want to consider it for every other Met member agency and those that are wholesale customers of member agencies.
Yep.
So I think this is a big deal that Met probably is not considered but ought to.
Agreed. And we continue to remind the Met staff of
Yes,
that.
I'm
And
sure you do.
We need to do it at the board level also because
And our
they
Met
get
representative,
they get caught
I
up
expect to be
in-
doing the very same.
in a lot of other things, and we keep reminding them that their core mission is to provide reliable supplemental water to Southern California. And that's what the financial agencies have based their ratings on.
Yes.
And so you can't just go out of a business that you've been in for 100 years.
Yeah.
And coincidentally, I had a telephone call with the chair on Monday to talk about, because of some comments that I made at the special board meeting, he made some comments to me about how he's trying to redirect the focus to be on water and not on other things.
Good.
So, yes.
Okay.
So I was pleased to get that phone call and hear that.
Yeah. Great. Thank you very much.
Quick comment related to that. As I was listening, I was thinking, I wonder what it does when Met has their review from S&P and they're
Oh,
saying.
believe me, as I sit on the finance committee
Yeah.
coming up when I go, this is going to be a question that I'm going to ask. Mm-hmm.
Because
Oh,
if
no.
they're asking it about
Us, they should be
depending on
asking it. Yep,
them,
yep.
should be, yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, sometimes we think that financial institutions like S&P or Moody's aren't paying attention to the bigger water picture. And as I've sat with them, and Kevin and Rod have led these discussions for these reviews, it is I'm always really impressed with the reviewers from each of these financial entities, how much they know about water, how much they know about our system, how much they understand the risks of the statewide water system, and the subtleties of how we're offsetting those risks with local supplies. They really get into the details, and it's always very impressive that they really understand the details. You cannot fool them, and they are looking forward to hearing from you, well, how is this new wholesale enterprise going to help Western be more financially sound? And so we have a great opportunity to explain that again, because the improvements that we've made over the last couple of years really benefit our sustainability and our reliability, and we want to make sure we're able to fully share that with them.
And they are not impressed by the size of whoever they are reviewing.
No.
They just downgraded the U.S. government this morning.
Yeah, they're,
I don't think anyone's impressed by the U.S. government right now.
So, okay, thank you very much. Directors' reports and requests. Anybody have anything?
SAPA, right?
Well, we'll get into those here. Okay, yeah. So SAPA did meet yesterday, and actually not the commission, but the Project Agreement 23 Committee, which is the SARCUP committee, and they approved amendments to the SARCUP program and the state grant for it. The state will have to concur, but we expect they will. It's important to us because part of the amendments move dollars that were scheduled for the Cannon Pump Station to the Magnolia interconnection. And as you will probably all recall, we have put Cannon kind of on the back burner and moved Magnolia up.
The March interconnection.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, March interconnection. Moved March up, and so that's important for that to happen. It's not a surprise that the committee has approved that, but it is an important step to move those dollars, which are important to us. And that's it for SAPA MWD.
Thank you. We did have a special workshop that was done on the Bay Delta, and it was a special board meeting so that we could all be there to listen and ask questions and do everything. However, I inadvertently left my notes sitting on my dining room table, so I'll report on that.
What do those notes say?
Yeah, I wish I had my crystal ball. So it was a lengthy workshop. It was several hours, and we had a lot of discussion, and I took some copious amount of notes, so I'll report on that next time. And we do not have our regularly scheduled meeting. It's pushed back a week because of the tax roll and the assessed value that needs to come from all of the counties in order to do our percentage share of votes that we're given. So we are pushed back a week. So I won't be meeting until the 14th and 15th. So it'll be right before our next board meeting.
Great. Chino Basin Water Master was dark last month, back on regular schedule this month. CDA? Okay, RCRA.
We will meet in September, and SORA was canceled. The next meeting will be in October.
Great. WRCOG?
We meet next week.
Okay, SORA? Aqua Region 9.
Actually, I'm going to go ahead and just report on the liability committee that I went to Sacramento last week to talk about and have that meeting. So there was some changes to some of the parameters of insurance. One of my questions was, in fact, does this change impact any of our agencies with the changes that were done? And I was told, no, these are non-substantive in nature and just kind of cleaned up some language and some various different things that pleases legal counsel and some, verbiage that was moving forward. One of the things that I did find very interesting in this, and I brought my notes for this, and I've got to find the page now. But one of the things that I found out, they make determinations over our insurance based upon our estimated payroll and the size of our agency based upon the payroll stuff. And so one of the things that I did not know and was very entertained to find out was we are the 5th largest member in the Aqua JPIA. So out of all of them, so for the liability insurance stuff. So it was kind of interesting to see how this all came out, and some different changes. Insurance changes all the time, and obviously this liability stuff, there were a couple of very large claims that were paid out, so there have been some adjustments that were made. But all in all, Western has a very good record in maintaining our liability and having reportable claims, and so that always puts us in a very good light. So all in all, it was a very positive meeting. We have another meeting scheduled in September that they're doing to look at a couple of other things, and so I'll be going back up there, but it was definitely a positive outlook.
Good.
So.
And so what makes us largest? Like number of employees or total payroll?
They base it on total payroll. So it would have to do with the size of the agency, the number of employees, and that's how they base all of those numbers. So, but happy to show that to you, because they put every single agency in here in the book. And I also found it very interesting that there are several agencies that have no payroll. They carry no employees forward, that they're simply doing certificates of liability, so for various different things. So just kind of interesting how they assess and break down all of the costs and what goes into maintaining the insurance pool.
Great, thank you. Director's comments. Director Torres?
No comments from me.
Director Roden?
I just have a couple, I promise. Director Risby and I both attended the Eastville Chamber Installation and Awards banquet or dinner, I guess, celebration. It was a wonderful event. It was held at the Skyview Event Center in Jurupa Valley, which got a little giggle over that because it's the Eastville Chamber, but facilities on our side of the ours, Jurupa Valley, I still call it ours. Side of the freeway, but very well done event, very well attended, lots of good, just positive recognitions of different businesses and individuals. And when I attend those breakfasts, they always have such a good, Hari likes to say they're a family, and you can really feel that in those, especially in a little more intimate setting. But anyway, so that was a good event. I was glad I was able to go. And I also attended the Jurupa Valley Interagency Council meeting, which that council was formed not right when we became a city. Oh, see, I said we again, sorry. Jurupa Valley became a city. It took a while to get going because there are a lot of special districts in Jurupa Valley, and everyone was used to doing their own thing. So it is alive and well and thriving at this point, and lots of agencies at the table, the school districts, the law enforcement, the city, of course, is there. But what I was most proud of is the water representation in that group is really good now. It has built over time, and both JCSD and RCSD were there. And sometimes Santa Ana River Water Company is there, and I'm just realizing I don't think they were at the meeting. So they both, JCSD and RCSD, gave reports. RCSD had a printed, like 2-page report of all the different things that were going on, which I had not seen that before from them. And so that was really good, extensive. They talked about the 5-agency agreement that we're part of and how glad they are that that has happened. And JCSD talked about they're looking at the grand opening for the recycling water project through RCRA. I think they said in November they thought there'd be like a ribbon cutting of some sort, more to follow. And they also announced that, it was Armand, and he announced that they are moving forward on the heli hydrant, which I think you guys know because I've brought that up before. The first location is going to be up by the reservoirs up above Country Village on the hill, where coincidentally there was a fire about 4 weeks ago. And so they're excited. It's going to go to their board for some of the, all the legwork's been done, but the board, has to approve going forward with some of the different steps. So I'm very excited about that project. So that was about it. But it was a big report from the city, all the retail development coming in. They didn't even do residential for time's sake because they spend so much time on all the commercial and retail. And that's a big step for Hoop Valley too. It's been a long time coming, and it's like the floodgates have opened, and a lot of businesses are coming in, and a number of Starbucks. So we already have, I think, 2, and I believe there are 3 more. It's like, could we not get like an independent coffee shop? But it's all right. I have nothing against Starbucks. So I guess it's sort of a badge of honor, however many Starbucks you have in your city. So, yeah, so that's it.
I have a quick, I'm sorry, I know I said no comment. I did want to report out, there are going to be 2 labor relations trainings happening today. I will be doing mine online just due to time constraints.
Director Rizvi.
I attended the National Night Out last night at City of Corona, which was very well, it was very well attended. There were lots of kids. There was a lot of, like you really get to see how, our police and force and everyone are working together. There were clergy. There were a lot of different booths going on. So it was very well attended. I represented Western and talked to a lot of people about water. So it was very good. That's about it.
Director Denstedt.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last week, I attended the Southern California Water Coalition lunch on behalf of MET. I sat at the MET table, so I was registered with them, but it's always good to go and see what our partners are doing and all of the conversation that's going on. A little bit of chatter that was going on was some of the water law stuff. The topic overall was over the Colorado River, and Bill Hastingkamp from MET was one of the speakers at that. So it was very well attended, and it was a beautiful venue down in Carlsbad, so really enjoyed that and enjoyed the really cool weather that was down in Carlsbad instead of at the IE, but it was a nice day. And then I also attended the National Night Out last night in Marietta, so it was very well attended, and one of the questions that people came and said, so I'm watering my lawn, the drought's over, right? And I'm like, yes, the drought's over, you can water your lawn. So it's all good, just water it responsibly, okay? Just make sure it's on your lawn and not anywhere else, and we're all good. So that was kind of the entertaining comment of the night for National Night Out. So, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. I also attended the Southern California Water Coalition lunch and presentation in Carlsbad. I agree with Director Denstedt. The weather was nice, the location was nice, the commute sucked. I'm sure that Director Torres is already aware, but the rest of you may not be. Riverside Public Utilities, actually, the City of Riverside is looking at restructuring or updating their rates for everything, including utilities. So RPU has got water and electricity rates coming up. They're in the receiving public comment period of the process. They're also looking at trash and sewer rates, which are not through RPU. But interestingly, they're doing a 5-year rate program. They had not done one that long previously. So it's interesting for them. What's being proposed for water is 6.5% increase per year for the 5 years.
7.
7.5?
Yeah, my husband had a heart attack this week.
Yeah,
so that's why.
7.5%. 6.5. I thought it was 6.5. Yeah, it's 7 on electric. So it will be a noticeable change as rates are, but as we all know and see here, everything gets to be more expensive, ready or not, despite all the money that Dr. Matlock finds for us. The other thing I want to let the board know is I will be representing Western tomorrow at Eastern. Interior Secretary, and I will mispronounce her name, Haaland, Haaland, will be there. They are dedicating a water recycling facility, which are funded through a program that's operated through Department of Interior. She's a very interesting lady. She's first Native American to be appointed to a cabinet secretary position. She's a single mom, put herself through college. She started college at 28 and put herself through college and law school. And she makes a point of saying, and I'm still paying student loans. So it will be interesting to get to meet her tomorrow and learn more about this project. So I will report details next time. Any requests for future agenda items? That's easy. Okay, we do have an information item in the packet, and our next meeting is August the 16th here. And with that, we will be adjourned. We do have a special session this afternoon.
We'll be starting right away. We can
Okay.
maybe take a 5 or a 10-minute break, and then we'll be starting we'll open that meeting in the board conference room, yeah, that training.
At 10:30 is when it's agendized.
Yeah. And for anyone who is,
Okay.
if anybody is listening online, that meeting, you can watch it, but you need to be physically present to do so. So it's a public meeting, but it is not going to be streamed or broadcast. So, all right, thanks very much.
Bye.
Recording stopped.